It's time to talk about one of the most frustrating things that I see so many intermediate players get into, and it's called modes. What are modes? Are they good for you? Well, the different kinds of modes there are, like, what do I need to be practicing? Blah, blah, blah. These are questions that I get all the time. I'm going to answer them right as best as I can and as fast as I can in this video. My name is Luan. If you're new here, I'm a professional musician, graduated Berklee with a scholarship, have a free online music school where we give away all the best practical music tips that I have for free. This is part of our theory course, so I will pin it in the comments. You can go straight into it. There's going to be a bunch of lesson notes on there of like how I map out my videos anyway, so you can go through there and you'll see all these notes that we're talking about, and they're going to be like really spelled out for you in case you don't understand anything. It will help you out and you can follow it with the video. Now, do you need to know modes? Straight up answer for pretty much majority, I would say like 90% of the people, like of musicians, do not need to know modes. You do not need to know modes. Modes are pretty much a distraction. Like, it's a thing. This is the routine that we all kind of go through. I went through this routine. You're like, oh, I need to get into improvising and playing solos and knowing a bit more. And like, well, have you learned all your modes? And then you're like, funny you asked me that. I don't even know what a mode is. Then you go down the rabbit hole of learning what modes are. And then you're like, oh my God, I need to learn all these modes. And then you start learning all these different scale positions and shapes and blah, blah, blah. That's people tell you. And there was the arpeggios. And by the time you finished it, one, you didn't practice any music. You sound like crap. And two, you're just wasting time. Because you literally, like, this is the thing I see every time. It's like, well, we want to play like John Mayer. He's like, yeah, well, I'm going to go learn all my modes first. It's like, no, go play John Mayer if you want to play like John Mayer. If you want to play like B.B. King, go learn B.B. King. You do not need to be learning modes. Modes are a complete waste of your time unless you have a harmonic reason to learn them. So this is the key thing. The only thing that makes a mode are the chords underneath it. So this is going into the very first thing of what is a mode. A mode is starting on the major scale at a different note. And that is it. There are 7 modes. And there are 7 notes in the major scale. If I start on a different note in the major scale, I am technically playing a mode. That is it. There is no fancy thing, blah, 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 and no crazy shapes. There is just, if you understand the simplicity of what is happening, it's like, if you start on a different note within the major scale, you are playing a different quote unquote scale or mode. That's all that's happening, but it's still the major scale. So example, exhibit A, I'm playing in the key of G. If I play this, by the way, we're going to go through the names of the 7 modes that you're going to have to know if you want to be nerdy and understand what all the modes are. By the way, for a very long time, I made mistakes on what they were called, so don't feel bad if you do, because I did it for a long time. I was at Berklee making this mistake all the time. Now, so we're going to start with a G. Boom. First note of the G means it's G Ionian. Ionian is the major scale, technically. So, G. Now, if I start on the next note, A, it is now A Dorian. Now, the thing that's going to make it sound Dorian-ish is if I go like this. I give you that A minor chord, and then I go. See what I mean? I literally just play the same scale as I did on the G for the G Ionian. And I'm literally playing the same scale. There's no difference. But the feel was different. And I don't know if you guys can notice that there was like a different change in the sound and the change of what it made you think in your head. So the chord behind it affects it immediately. So the third note, so say I'm still in G. I'm on my B, and that is going to be called a B Phrygian. Now I'm just going to play through the major scale again. See how it sounds kind of like Arabic-y? So I'm literally playing the same scale. Same scale. Nothing's changing. I really need to like drill this into your head. It is the same G major scale. Just whatever the chord behind it makes it sound different. That's it. Now, if I start on the fourth note, it's what we call a Lydian. So I've got and then the fifth one is going to be Mixolydian. Now the sixth one's going to be Aeolian. And then the last one's going to be Locrian. I can never like think of the best way to do a Locrian shape, so I'm just going to play through the major scale again. So I played a half diminished scale or a Locrian mode. I'm literally playing a G major scale. There's nothing fancy here. So that's all 7. So just a quick recap on all 7 now. So now the reason why I did it that way, you didn't have to memorize what I just said, but I did it that way to show you how dumb it is. Because like a lot of people like, you need to learn all of your Dorian things and all of your Phrygian things. It's like, no. Just like if you need to play an A Dorian, you go and play a G major scale. That's it, starting on the 2nd degree. If you need to play an A Phrygian, so that means Phrygian is the 3rd one, then you go down 3 notes in the major scale. You're playing an F major. So you're just playing an F major scale. That is all that's happening. So really, the concept of modes is just super, super overcomplicated. It really is. It can be as dumb as just play the same major scale you know how to play. And that's why knowing the major scale is everything. Like if you know the major scale, you're a boss. You can do whatever you want. Now, that's just the first 2 cents that I need to get. I just need to get that off my chest. Now, let's get into the nerd theory, because if you've made it to this point in the video, you obviously want to know what's going on in the theory. So I am going to distill the wisdom that has been passed on to me by many different teachers in many complicated ways. And this is the consolidated Luan way to do things. And this is how I got through all Berklee jazz, all chord scale things that I need to do. When I finished my harmony, my last exam for harmony at Berklee, it took me 15 minutes and I got an A. I crushed Harmony 4. So it's like, this is how I approach it, and it makes it so much easier to handle for my brain, because like memorizing everything while also playing music, because I want you to play music. I don't want you to be distracted by anything else. And so like this makes it really easy that when you need the knowledge, you can find the knowledge, and then you're just going to be practicing music all the time. So let's get into the theory behind it. So we've got the 7 modes, which equate to the 7 notes of the major scale. First one is Ionian, second one is Dorian, third one is Phrygian, fourth one is Lydian, fifth one is Mixolydian, sixth one is Aeolian, and then the 7th one is Locrian, or Locrian. I don't know, however you want to pronounce it. I don't even know why I said Locrian. I usually say Locrian. Anyway, it is whatever you want to call it. Pronounce it how you want to pronounce it. Potato, tomato. Wow, I totally bombed that. Anyway, so do whatever you want on the pronunciation. It's like, have fun. So all that's happening here is that you're going to start on a different note and it's going to create a different mode. The 2 modes that you have pretty much played with all the time are going to be Ionian, which is the major scale. You've probably done that a few times. And then the other one that you've done probably all the time is called the Aeolian, which is the natural minor scale. So in the key of G, it'd be E minor, or E minor pentatonic is kind of playing the Aeolian. So you've probably played these before because you already know what they are, but it's just putting a fancy name on it, and that's it. Now, the thing that these modes have with them is what we call a characterizing pitch, and that's what the only thing that I would stress that you memorize is you need to know what's the note that's making the mode sound like the mode. And I will go through all of them one after another so you can understand. And then I'm going to give you an example of me playing like a Dorian mode, because I typically don't play in Lydian and Mixolydian. I don't really play. Actually, honestly, for me to go and try and find examples would just be a waste of my time, because I just don't play them. And so that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you just don't really need them till you have a reason to play them. Then you go out and you would be playing music that's applying it anyway. So you just be playing the music, but you would just understand what's happening under the hood. That's all that matters here. So these characterizing notes, really, really important. Let's get through it. So Ionian, by the way, these notes are all in the lesson notes. So please, like, just go through the lesson notes while I'm explaining this. It's going to help you so much. If you're reading while you're hearing me talk and you're looking at what I'm saying, it's going to be great, because I don't have a video editor and I don't know how to do all the fancy like overlays and all that cool stuff. But one day we will. So Ionian mode is going to be starting. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. There's nothing that's changing within the chord, like within the scale. So that's all that's happening right there. There is pretty much no characterizing pitch. I would just say it's just the characterizing pitch of it. It's just the major scale. It just sounds like everything. And that's what it is. I wouldn't be stressing. But if you really, really needed to find something that made it connect, that was special, it would be like, all right, Tito, that's it. And then the fa, mi, Tito. Those are like the two notes. So the 4 down to 3, and then the 7 to 1. Those are like these really big pull notes that happen within all the diatonic chords. They help what make playing diatonic chords really good. So if you need something characterizing pitch there, like those are the two notes, the 4 down to the 3 and the 7 to the 1. But that, it's just a major scale. So just lean into that. Now the second one is called the Dorian mode. Now the Dorian mode, if we're going to analyze it just on its own, so let's say we're going to go, I think I have here, over here, we're going to be following the major scale. So it'd be A Dorian. Did I do it? Oh wait, no. So I did it. I was just double checking my notes. I don't want to confuse guys. We're doing it all over G. So G Dorian. So G Dorian, which is also F major. So G Dorian, which is F major scale. G Dorian is going to go 1, 2, flat 3, 5, 4, 5, natural 6, flat 7, 1. So the thing that you're hearing in the G Dorian is that natural 6. That's the characterizing pitch of a Dorian. You hear me do it all the time. I love that note. It's like one of my favorite things to smack. It's part. I use it in the like the blues scale, or I'll use it over like any minor chord that I can sneak it into. Boom. And if you're wondering, Neon by John Mayer is pretty much Dorian ridden, and Vultures, like John Mayer does it all the time in a lot of the music he plays. Neon, Vultures, freaking Waiting on the World to Change was one I was not expecting for him to do. He literally goes into G Dorian. When he does that. Anyway, so that is, he just sneaks that one chord in the bridge, and then you can vamp on Dorian there, but then you come back into the natural minor again. So it is what it is. But that's all that's happening, is that natural 6 instead of just playing a flat 6. That's what makes it a Dorian mode. Now the next scale is going to be G Phrygian. So G Phrygian goes 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. So the characteristic note that you're going to be seeing, that I'll be like, oh, what's going on here? Is that note there. Sounds like kind of like Arabic, like, I don't know, I think of it as like an Arabic kind of thing, maybe like Spanish, I don't know. But depending on the kind of music you play, that's what Phrygian's going to do. And so that's all Phrygian is. The flat 2 is the characterizing pitch. Now we're going to do G Lydian. So G Lydian is now moving back into major land. So this is like a major sounding mode. So you're going 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 1 7 1. Basically, that's all the Lydian is. It's just a sharp 4. It pops out really, really well. So that's what the Lydian does. I actually don't play any Lydian songs, so I can't really give you an example for it. I was thinking that one of the Zelda themes has like, but I can't for a fact tell you that it is Lydian. But if someone in the comments knows, please let me know. I would be super curious. I tried to figure it out before this video, but I don't think I could figure it out. Nor do I really have any interest in it. So moving to the next one, Mixolydian is going to be 1 2 3 4 5 6 flat 7 1. This is I mean, I would say it's like your major blues kind of one. So some people like to do it that way. I typically kind of just play a minor blues and then add a couple of major notes in every now and then. That's just me. But that's all the Mixolydian is. There are a lot of great Mixolydian progressions that some people love playing. But like I said, a lot of modal music, this is what we call modal music, it pretty much is like for the minority of players. Like majority of players want to play pop songs, want to play, you know, the 4 chords, or country music, 3 chords in the truth. That's what we're doing. So this stuff is a bit complicated, but it's not very important. Let's be real. It is it's important for the people that are playing modal music. It's like paramount for the people that are playing modal music. But for us, you know, normal human beings that aren't like going into that modal music, we just love being part of, you know, pop music land and Western music and basic. I'm so basic. Then you will pretty much not be using modes. So that's what's happening. Now we're going to move over to the 6th, which is the Aeolian mode. So we're going to do G Aeolian. So that the formula for that one is going to be 1 2 flat 3 4 5 flat 6 flat 7 1. And that is our natural minor scale. So I would say the characteristic note of that one is natural minor. Like I would just say this is what it is. It's just a natural minor scale. It's the minor scale that everyone kind of learns, especially in school music and stuff like that. It's minor pentatonics kind of built on it. So it is what it is. And then the last one is the Locrian. This is going to be funny. Let's see if I totally fail this one. It's going to be 1 flat 2 flat 3 4 flat 5 flat 6 flat 7 1. Did it. Anyway, so one thing you notice is I was just playing through that scale and I kind of got a bit excited because when I was in my youth, I used to play a lot of scales, and I used to get like this little, you know, high of playing scales as fast as they could. And so it became the challenge. It became the game. Beat the metronome. This did not make me a good player. I'm telling you right now, it was the hardest hurdle I had to ever go through in music was unlearning all of this stuff. I had to truly stop. It's bad. It's like a drug. You think you're moving forward. You think you're getting better. You're actually just wasting time. It's really, really bad. It's like they need to have support groups for people practicing modes, because it would have helped me out a lot, you know, and it's be like, you know, you're going through like the circle. Hey, I'm a modes addict. I play all my modes every day. I play Locrian, but I don't know any Locrian songs. All I want to do is play Waiting on the World to Change, but Locrian's on my mind and I just don't know what to do with it. Like, that is truly what was happening to me. I was like, I just wanted to play the basic stuff. And then I'd be like, oh, practice for 30 minutes or an hour. And then I'm gassed because I'm like, oh man, I just did that at like 150 BPM. What a waste of my time. But I thought I was moving forward. Anyway, you can see I have the scars. They really come to the surface. They're quite scary. But yeah, so that's the last mode. So that's pretty much all the characteristic notes that exist there. So use them if you want to, but it truly just comes down to, do you play modal music and do you not? So when I say modal music, I know it doesn't mean do you need to go play Arabic music or things like that, but something as simple as Vultures by John Mayer. That's what I call modal music, because you can't go over that chord progression. You could play the minor pentatonic and still sound fine. By the way, sidebar, if you play the minor pentatonic over any minor mode, it will work. And if you play the major pentatonic over any major mode, it will work. They just won't work over the Locrian. So if you're ever in a situation, someone said, we're in Dorian, we're playing A Dorian, just play A minor pentatonic and just don't hit anything else. Like, you will be fine. If you literally, they're like, smack it is in the key of, like, for instance, this one is going to be in the key of, I think, what would I say? I normally, whatever, I call it F sharp minor. Yeah, F sharp minor. So say I'm like F sharp Dorian, and you're in trouble, and you're like, what do I do? You just play the pentatonic, you gooch, because you're not stepping on any of the notes that are going to cause problems, because you're not playing the sixth. So if you jump in and you're like, I've got this, guys, and they're like, and you go, you see how that note just like, oh, dude, that's the wrong note. That's what gets a drummer to throw cymbals at you at a jazz gig, a piano player to never hire you again. No one likes you when you do that. But you can, like, you go. No one's going to throw a cymbal at you. They'll be like, no, that's not really, like, that's not crazy. That's cool. And then they let the sax player rip, because every sax player we know who plays an alto sax knows all the chord scales. And you know that sax player, because that sax player, that's your friend. They're just always nerds. I don't know why. Sax players, bass players, and trumpet players, they just always know every single... I don't even know why a bass player needs to know all the chord scales. It just blows my mind. Like, every time you're, like, in this session at Berkeley, and the bass player is like, all right, let's jam, and then the bass player plays, and it's just basic, 1/5, whatever, like, super chill. And then you're on a break or just chilling, and then the bass player always rips out all these crazy solos and is doing all this tapping Victor Wood and shit, and you're like, dude, you know way more than every guitarist that I know at Berkeley. Anyway, in the comments, if you believe that, like, that's something, like alto sax, trumpet, whatever, you've met that person, let me know, because I don't know, I feel like I see that all the time. Anyway, so the minor pentatonic is going to get you there. Major pentatonic is going to get you there on all the major modes. So just don't stress. You really don't need to know this stuff like super fancy. But what will help you is if you do know it, like, say, for instance, in this progression. Now, there's this concept I'm going to go through is going to be a little bit complicated, but I will elaborate more on this in the thing we call modal interchange. But this is going to be the diatonic chords that fit within the modes, right? So just the same way that we are just starting from a major scale. So say, for instance, I'm playing F sharp Dorian. Well, that's E major. But I'm just going. Oh, sorry, I did it wrong. So I go F sharp minor. Boom. I was like, that's not the right scale. What am I doing, Lauren? So that's the F sharp Dorian, but I'm literally playing E major. Now, you might see people be like, we're playing F sharp Dorian, and it's a 1 minor to a flat 3 major 7 to a 4 7. And like, all that means is I'm starting on 2 minor 7 to a 4 major 7 to a 5 7 in the key of E. If you want to think about it that way. I like to think about things back to the major scale, because I just really like, as soon as you start getting to flat 3 major set, like, there's just a bit of stuff to memorize. I personally don't really give a damn about memorizing it, as long as I know what's going on, and I'm like, I see a progression and I'm like, okay, well, there's those two major chords and there's a minor chord right there. It's probably either a 6 chord or a 2 chord. And then when I'm listening to the progression later and I hear like, if I see 2 major chords next to each other, then I'm like, well, then it probably can't be a 6 chord because that would have to be a 2 minor. So then I'm like, okay, well, that must be a 2 chord. So then I know Dorian. That's just how my brain works. That's up to you guys if you want to figure it out that way. But like, it's just like process of elimination. So now what Dorian will sound like over this progression, if I got... And what's happening there, like the reason why that note is just like sticking out like a sore thumb, that. So that note itself is accenting the major 7. Oh, sorry. Luan, you're so silly. It's accenting one of the chord tones, the 3rd of this B chord here. So if I played the natural minor over that, and I went A, and then I played the B, and I played... You see how that is so wrong? And that's where people get stuck, is they see minor chord, and they're like, oh, cool, I'll just play with natural minor scale. It's like, no. Minor chord, but then 2 major chords right after it that are really, really close, probably going to be a Dorian. So make sure when you're doing it, that's where I got stuck a few times, but once I realized, it's probably playing a Dorian, and then I play the note, it's a Dorian, and you hear it all the time. I mean, I Don't Need No Doctor does the same thing. It's in the key of E Dorian. But it's kind of disguised as like the E blues. So that's modes in a nutshell, as best as I could explain it. Like I said in the very beginning, it's not important. What's important is go play songs. Play heaps and heaps of songs. And if you come back to the songs and you're like playing jazz or you're doing something like that, and you're noticing there's some weird chord things that are happening, and you're like, I have no idea what's going on here, then this is when you pull this video up and you start going, okay, maybe I'm going to start going through like these modes. Could it be one of these modes? And could these chord progressions that they're coming through be using a modal progression? And then that's where you'll start to find those notes. Those notes will stick out like a sore thumb within the melody of these modal progressions. So that's a nice cue to know that like, hey, I might need to play a mode here or think about a mode here. But truly, major pentatonic, minor pentatonic carry you everywhere. Like you really don't need more than that. You can get by. So only if you really, really care about this kind of stuff do you really need to know it. So that's my 2 cents. Let me know if this video actually helped you because... I don't know. Modes is a complicated thing. I try to make it as simple as I could, but I will endeavor to make it as simple as possible in the future. So let's rock and roll, and I'd love to see you guys crushing it in the comments and inside our school. See you guys soon.